Okay. Good afternoon, all. As previously mentioned, my name is Kelvin Khedaroo. I am with A Metals, and today I'll be going over our case study for Tulip and how the implementation process worked. I do want to make a quick highlight to uh, Exxon here. I am Guyanese, and I do want to commend your endeavors there. The technology there has been amazing, and it's actually crazy to see a developing country go from where it was to where it is now, and that's all thanks to Exxon. So thank you. Just joking, just joking. So yeah, so today we're gonna discuss the Tulip implementation process and how that went. Just a case studies. We're gonna go over the challenges, how what Tulip brought to the table and the results we got. Right. So made some AI for the keypad here. So yeah, just as the agenda here, we're going to go over just the introductions, right? I'm going to tell you a little bit about Chance Aluminum, what they do, the people there, and we're going to go into the challenges, the solutions, and the results, as we all care about, right? The results. And then our future endeavors, what we expect. I'll conclude. So, as a quick introduction, and I just want to talk about Tulip here, as Janice mentioned, it's a no-code platform. It's a very powerful and user-friendly MES solution, right? And what it really does is it provides operations to optimize with real-time data, analytics, and seamless integration, right? And I really want to focus on the seamless integration because that's really key for our operations, right? And for Chance Aluminum, it helped us to overcome some key challenges, and it really boosts productivity and it helped our operational efficiency. So now I'm gonna go into Chance Aluminum a little bit, right? The first thing I do want to talk about is our CEO, Dr. Jack Cheng, right? So he acquired Chance Aluminum in 2021. It was a shuttered plant, was closed down for a little bit. He acquired it and he's invested $25 million into just revamping it, making it modern. And thus far, we're definitely looking to take it into the future. One thing I do want to point out about the steel industry, it's a very old industry, right? It's not kind of reluctant to change. And one of the things we're trying to do with Chance is revamp it, just rethink about how we're doing steel and aluminum. And one thing about, you may have say, hey, Cal, I thought you're AA Metals, and what the heck does Chance Aluminum have to do with this? And our relationship is AA Metals, we're a distributor, right? So we distribute steel, aluminum extrusions, and Chance Aluminum is our subsidiary. They manufacture the goods for us. Chance Aluminum is definitely Pennsylvania proud, and I know they're happy the Eagles won the Super Bowl, so they're all partying hard up there. So they're in the smack dab in the middle of Pennsylvania. They're in Williamsport. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Little League World Series. It's like religion up there. It's way bigger than the World Series. So they are definitely are proud of making steel, and steel is a passion for them up there, right? And as mentioned before, they are a master producer of common alloy and foil, and they are the leading distributor for AA Metals, and they definitely help us grow in the industry. Size and capacity. So Chance is a pretty big facility. I mean, it's pretty moderate size. It's 25,000 square feet, and it produces millions of pounds of aluminum every month. Now, one thing I would definitely want to stress is it's pretty impressive for them to come up, be a shutter plant in 2021, just come back to life and just start ramping up, producing millions of pounds is actually one thing that we're really proud of, especially with the machinery we're given. So right now, I want to talk about the challenges we faced. Now, being a shutter plant, one thing that we did was, first thing, we brought in all the old people, we brought everybody back in. And with that, unfortunately, came some old habits that we wanted to change, right? So one challenge that they had was the limited visibility. Okay, so when they're manufacturing the goods, unfortunately, some of the old process where they would walk the floor, they would see where things are. There was nothing telling them, hey, where in the manufacturing process is this semi-finished good at, right? If you want updates, we couldn't give it, right? So AML will contact Chance and say, hey, where are you guys at with the process? They couldn't answer. They literally had to walk the floor of this 25,000 square foot plant and go find that out, which was crazy, if you ask me. In addition to that, it was also an inventory, right? So they would have to go and kind of look and see how inventory was and just again do a physical count, which is again for that side of the plant was very demanding. Lack of data analytics. So they, as mentioned, they had no real-time data, right? A lot of everything was just, hey, we're gonna have to just go out there, physically do it, physically take this paper and write down, hey, operators, just write everything you're doing, and we'll just take it at the end of the day and compile it all later. Very inefficient, very time-consuming, a waste of people's time. Limited control. In terms of the quality process, we definitely had a quality process, but to ensure that was being followed was definitely a challenge. We wanted to make sure we had a solution that could really embed that process and you couldn't move forward until it was done. In addition to that, we wanted to make sure that the manufacturing process was being adhered to as well, because we wanted to make sure that the right calls were being done at the right steps. Excessive scrap, this is what we really cared about. So one thing we really hated was the amount of scrap we were getting when we first launched. It was almost like 50% of the product was scrap. And that was just due to machinery and other issues. But we couldn't quantify it. We knew we were getting this scrap. We couldn't figure out why or actually have some concrete evidence to what was causing it. Right? So you really wanted to understand all of that and at least have some proof to say, hey, this is what it is, this is what we're going to spend our money, this is how we're going to fix it. Inaccurate accounting. So one thing that accounting had a problem with, and our CFO had a big problem with, is he couldn't get an understanding of, in terms of his assets, hey, what do we have in raw materials? What do we have in the WIP? What do we have in finished good? The way when the plans first got kicked off, everything was in raw materials. If we looked at his books, all the value raw materials was this high astronomical number. And then as the product gets made, and then it goes into our ERP system, which is NetSuite, by the way, then it will go to finished goods, and then you would have something. But in terms of work in progress, he wouldn't know, and he wanted a fix for that problem. So these are some of the notable challenges. We did have some others, but these are the really key ones that really drove us to, again, look for a MES solution, and then we found Tulip. So in comes Tulip, right? So here's why, when we found them, what we really liked about them. The first thing is definitely it integrated with NetSuite. So our CEO, Dr. Jack Chang, he wanted a solution that integrates with NetSuite. He wants everything under one roof. He doesn't want anybody from his management staff, anybody from operational staff, just to go in and go to this solution, that solution. It's all time consuming, and he's all about productivity, right? So being integrated with NetSuite means we can push data to NetSuite. We can all go into NetSuite. We all have access to it. We can just go in, view the data. It's all there in real time. It's a cloud-based solution. So as Janice mentioned, we really like the fact that it's cloud-based, meaning that we can just go on a browser, type in a URL, and it's there. The operators are really familiar with how to use a browser, so for them it was a real easy training. It wasn't a crazy lift, right? And also, we can utilize existing hardware. So other MES solutions were in-house. We had to have, again, at least a minimum requirement of hardware, and that was a big investment. So with our current solution, which Tulip is, it allowed us to use existing hardware, which saved a lot of money. Scalability, another thing that Janice mentioned. So being a plant that was shuttered and reopened in 2021, we're gonna grow. We're planning some big revampments of that plant, and some of it's in progress. We needed a solution that can grow as we grow. So Tulip definitely is customizable, so we can design it and build it as we see fit. Again, real-time data. So one thing that it provided the real-time data that we needed. So if we looked up inventory, we looked up any bits of information we need, it's there at our fingertips, right? We don't have to go looking for it, none of that. Very user-friendly. So our team members, our operators, right, as I mentioned before, when the plant reopened up, they were brought back in. A lot of these guys are hardworking mill operators, and they're really good with their hands. Some of them are a bit scared of technology, right? Like I said, steel is a pretty old industry. A lot of guys and gals are just really hands-on and don't really avoid technology. With Tulip and it being very user-friendly, we're able to design something that is catered to them and something that they can understand and they can use, right? So Tulip being able to be built how we want it really empowered our employees to, you know, feel comfortable. Let's talk about the implementation phase and what that looked like, right? So the initiation and planning took about 4 months. Now, the reason why some may say that's a bit long or a bit excessive, we took the approach of just really making sure our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. So what we did was, I'm based in Orlando, so I flew up to Pennsylvania, stayed there for a couple of months, really watch the process, watch what they do, document it, talk to the operators, right? I really wanted feedback from the operators and see how do you guys do your process, right? When we want to, in design technology, you want to make it as human as possible. We don't want it to deviate from what they do, and then they have to be trained and a lot of resources have to be spent on them. We want it to be catered to them. It'll take about 4 months of planning, documenting everything, and just so we can start development. Development took about 4 months. I do want to shout out our development house. It is My Search Consulting. He helped us overcome some of the hurdles we had in terms of really some solutions we need to be custom built just because of our industry, and we wanted to be competitive and different, right? Not too different, but just not always follow the grain. So he really helped us with that. That took about 4 months of pre-development. We did a pilot phase. So what we did was we didn't want to go full blown, hey guys, here's a solution, start using it. We wanted to make sure that the operators and the team was comfortable using it. So we picked the machine group, we put the solution on the machine group, which was the mills, and we just observed for a month, made sure that the solution worked, the operators were comfortable, we were getting the data we wanted, and eventually the results we intended. About a month, and also in training as well. So within that month, we were able to start the training process. Once we saw the results we were getting good results, so we said, all right, we'll start increasing the training process, and which was again another month of work. It was very minimal lifting, and then we went full deployment, right? So the full deployment took about a year, from start to finish, about a year to be fully deployed, where everybody's using it, and we're ingrained in our new solution. Let's talk about the results and benefits, which you all care about, right? The first major result was that we had cost savings. We actually had some data to point out that, hey, we're buying raw materials, but it's costing us a lot of money to process. Sometimes, our procurement team will say, hey, I got the best deal on this raw material. I'm going to get it, and I'm going to buy it in bulk. And what we found out was, yeah, but we're just taking twice the process time to do it, which is we're ending up losing money, right? So we're able to identify that and actually stop that practice. The accurate accounting. So now our CFO is happy. He can understand how much he has in raw materials, how much he has in the WIP, and in finished goods. And he can actually see the assets and actually monitor the finance of the company and the financial health of it, right? Reduce scrap. So we were able to reduce scrap by 30%, which was a big, big help. How we did it, while the operators are using Tulip, they would enter in the amount of scrap they have, right? So if they said, hey, I had 1,000 pounds of scrap, they would have to specify, hey, it was a normal part of the manufacturing process because you will get scrap. Scrap is inevitable. Or was it not, right? And we forced them to answer that hard question. And then what was the cause? What they noticed, what happened, was a machine issue, anything, and we were able to pinpoint certain things where we can improve and able to reduce scrap by 30%, which is a big thing in our industry. Clear visibility. So now the manufacturing team members, the management staff, they do not have to walk that big plant and go and find the information, everything at their fingertips. Anybody ask, they can answer the question of where the product is during the manufacturing process. Really easy to answer, saves them a lot of time and wasted energy. No need for additional labor and licensing. So one common occurrence kind of in manufacturing realm is when you want to input data, we'll just say, well, let's hire a bunch of admins and we'll just put data into the ERP system and, we'll just have somebody just do that full time. This eliminated that, right? So we were able to save on a bunch of NetSuite licensing, save on that added labor that would be needed to just hire someone to do that job, that inefficient process, right? So that was tremendous savings. And now our current labor force, our current team members, their time can be spent more efficiently doing things that they should be doing, helping to improve their job and improve the company. Data-driven investment proposals. Now with Tulip, we were able to start proposing investment onto new equipment. So one really good thing was we were able to identify what our expected yield for a specific product is and why we're not getting that yield, and actually propose, hey, we should really upgrade this equipment because we're not meeting our goals. And we have evidence to show why. And also have that ROI to say, hey, you know what? If we do this, we're expecting return in this amount of time, which is a great big help. And that's why our CEO, he has invested in a bunch of new machinery to help not only revamp that plant, but to take it to that next level. And Tool was a big part of that. No paper, big one. So our CEO hated the idea that the operator would have to take time out of their day, jot down what they did, the amount of hours or minutes spent, try and calculate that, put the downtime in, put the scrap in, and there's other attributes for steel that they have to put in. It was a big, utter waste of time, of the operator's time, right? And they hated it. So one big happy spot is we got to remove paper from the manufacturing floor, and everything is digital, from travelers to the work instructions. Everything is on Tulip and it's on their screen and it's easy to use, and they're happy about it. Last but not least, employee empowerment. So as I mentioned before, a lot of the employees, they were pretty timid about technology. They're not familiar with it. It's not user friendly. This solution that we made for them made it user friendly. They're able to use it. They're able to feel comfortable with it. They're confident, and they're not scared or timid, which is I feel a big plus to get personnel who didn't care about it, who was so avoidant of it just because they were scared, to really embrace it. That's one of my proud points of this project. Now we'll talk about future and expansions. We're in the planning phases of doing machine monitoring. So now that we got Tulip fully ingratiated, we want to start putting monitoring machine sensors, getting all that additional data back to the management team, just so they can review it. Things like machine health, what's the run rate of the machine, all that good stuff. And also, AMLs continue to grow, right? So we're expanding, right? And we've just bought another distribution plant in Canada. So as we expand and grow, we're definitely going to consider Tulip as our first MES partner solution and to help us achieve our goals. Now, there's one thing that recently happened that I couldn't put on the slide, but I do want to go into it. And it's about AI, right? So our CEO, this happened literally 2 days ago, where he put out a memo where he wants to really adopt AI throughout his facilities. And why this sudden push? And I think Janice wanted to quantify certain things about AI. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what happened in the past couple of days with tariffs and aluminum. So there was a 25% tariff on aluminum, right? So what ended up happening, that put the whole aluminum steel business into a frenzy. We had to go crazy and adjust pricing and do all this very manual stuff. We have a website, we had to go on a website, just change this. We literally had to take a website and put it down just so we can understand what the pricing is and be able to change it. So what we expect out of AI is to eliminate that downtime, right? If there are changes in the market, we want to be able to react faster because if we don't, we lose money, right? We've placed orders through other mills across the world. We want to be able to react so we can lock in those prices, or if not, stop those orders and be able to help our supply chain plan better, right? So that's one thing about AI that we're really pushing to, and we really want to take that and adopt that with tulips just so we can start, we don't want to have all this data, all this analytics, and they're just there. We want to be able to really put them to good use, and we feel like AI can do that, right? And in summary, I just wanted to kind of highlight, we've start off this endeavor with, getting the shuttered plant, and we really wanted to just really bring it to a new age, really wanted to adopt technology, rethink how we do things. And I think with Tulip, we've definitely done that. I'm really proud of this project. I was really invested in it, was the project lead on this project, and I'm very happy with the results, right? And just to be able to bring, powerful analytics, and reduce that cost and ensure consistent product quality, we were able to do great things. So I'm very happy and, with our job. Thank you.